remember how to do this thing here. And we are live. Hopefully I've done that correctly. I can't remember because I'm too nuddy. How are we all? I hope you're fantastic. This has been a madness over the past couple of weeks, and I've got a new set, a new microphone. Hopefully it sounds good. You guys can let me know. Mary, Baxty, management, MGT. For some reason I see MGT and just read management. That's because I'm noddy. Right, let's go. I'm going to go for 30 to 45 minutes. It's been a while, man. I don't even know how to live stream anymore. It's been too long. Focusing on the mothership content, these edited videos, the story pieces, but we will talk to it. Go on then, let me get questions out of the way, because I have put a thread on the sister channel, and a couple of you, I Am King, has a question. Clamp down Flexi Wing. Let's get to that first. Flexi Wing. All right. So I had a chat with my brothers, Baxty and Shez, about Flexi Wing. In fact, let me set the table. I've got to do some table setting, man. I forget all this live stream waffle and what it's about. Table setting. Here's what we're going to talk about over the next 30 to 45 minutes. We will talk about questions. This is a live chat. So for those, Baxty, Mary, management, aka MGT, we're going to talk and go back and forth. I know you guys have got questions about Monza, Dutch Grand Prix, Max Verstappen, records, Monza curse. We will get to all that in short order, I promise. You guys let me... Yeah, Baxty, does it sound mad? Does it sound good? Or Baxty, give me a 1 in the chat if it sounds good. If it sounds bad, give me a number 2. I'm getting all sorts of alarms and red flags on my stream health, but this is the new mic. It's weird, mate. I feel like I used to use the old mic as a bit of a clutch. Used to hide my body, right? But anyway, I digress. This is all very boring stuff. Go on then, let's get to questions first as the first port of order. For each and every single one of these, I'm going to try, and I'm saying to Mary, moderator extraordinaire, that I'm going to start to try and do these more regularly. And for each one of these, 24 hours before, I will... Sounds good, Mary. I hope it does. I reckon it's a bit echoey, but whatever, man. We move. I will get better, I promise. Cost a lot of money, this bloody mic, not having it off screen. But again, I feel a bit naked. Used to use the old one as a clutch, but Baxty, let's go, bruv. We'll take it, man. It will improve those still. Okay, let's get to questions. I Am Kang says, Flexi Wing, what do you reckon? Had a chat with my brothers Shez and Baxty on the shakedown yesterday. That will be out shortly this afternoon at some point. And we've been talking about the FIA. Okay, look, take a step back. Context. The FIA have a couple things as their remit. One being safety of drivers and all participants, all the team, pit crew, etc., and those in attendance, right? That's the first, that's the most important piece of the FIA's remit. The second one is on competition. They have as a responsibility, they've got to level the playing field if it gets too distorted. Now, you can feel any type of way about that, right, Salome? What's going on? You can feel any type of way about that. You can. That's fair. Some people love it. The purists are like, don't tinker with it. My guys, Baxty and Shez, aren't massive fans. Me being a part-time casual, I'm like, listen, at some point, you've got to kind of level the playing field, because people are going to start to dial out, aren't they? If they're not already, and we will get to that in short order. And so for Flexi Wing, I feel like the FIA are trying a ting. It feels like Aston Martin are going to be on the bad end of this Flexi Wing deal. But I just think the FIA are enough chat, more action, say less, do more. And I feel like this Flexi Wing directive is a function of that. And I can't be mad at it. I can't be mad at it, because now Mr. Lewis Hamilton has signed a new contract, right? And we want to see racing. Purists and casuals alike, we all want to see racing. And not just this racing for second and third and fourth, the also rans. That's nice, that's good. But that's the remit, that's the area that purists, your diehards who've been watching 1,000 years, they can get off on that. They're interested in that. For your casuals, the guys who have come in on the back of Drive to Survive and Blood and Guts 2021, and it's Lewis and it's Max and it's War and everything's on the line, and it's Grandstand season finale and all that other good stuff. These guys are going to start to dial out. And we've been to, listen, I'm reiterating, but I'm going to keep reiterating, because this is a theme, a trend that we're going to have to keep addressing. It's not going anywhere. It will keep reoccurring until the FIA nail this. We need to see racing for first and second. And as much as I don't even like the artificial re-engineering of the process or the rules, even with a view to level the playing field, that doesn't feel right, but it's happened throughout history. This won't be the first time, and it definitely won't be the last, particularly as the lower viewing figures start to drip through. And this, I think, is what's happening and what's feeding a lot of the imperatives. They're instructing us now to appreciate Max Verstappen, and I will get into that in short order because I don't like it. What's the appreciation narrative? Michael says, that's my funny, noddy terminology. So I've called the appreciation narrative. Here's what's happening, guys, and you would have seen this in the space. I'm not going to do the bloody slides today because I just want to talk at you guys. It's been a while since we have chatted. Here's the thing on the appreciation narrative. We're being told that we should appreciate Max Verstappen for the consistency, for the excellence, for the driving ability, for the wheelcraft, for the racemanship. All of that stuff is absolutely worthy of mention. Max Verstappen and Red Bull are to be appreciated for their excellence and their consistent excellence, moreover. But what I don't appreciate as a paying subscriber of Sky Sports F1, I don't appreciate, I'm nearly 40 years old. I don't want to be told what to do or how I should feel about a sport that I've been watching as near as makes no difference all my life. That's patronising. That's patronising and that's condescending. And I don't want to hear that. You're the client, Sky Sports. Make me interested. Listen, if I've come into the sport on the back of Drive to Survive and Blood and Guts and all that good stuff, I'm not going to be interested in this. Don't tell me what I should be. Appreciate Max Verstappen's excellence. I think the international broadcasts are having a bit of a mare. Me, Baxty and Shez discussed it on the shakedown last night, and I don't want to duplicate the point, but I feel like Sky Sports are due to come in for some stick. I don't think that's they've had they're putting out content and they're trying to switch it up. Of course they are. And that's sensible. That's what needs to get done. But the hows are important here. A couple of weeks back on the Sky Sports F1 broadcast, Karun Chandok, no less, told people, listen, if you don't appreciate people going 1,000 miles through Beckett's and Maggots and Beckett's at Silverstone, then how about you go and watch another bloody sport? What? No bueno. Karun, that's not the message, surely. And now they've reversed it 180 and they're like, well, this is what you need to be watching it for. Don't tell us, show us. There is a messaging and framing piece to this. And I don't know. It feels like they've got it the wrong way around, right? I'm the client. You're the broadcaster, the producer even. You're telling me what I need to appreciate. What? It's condescending and it's gatekeepy even. And it just, as somebody, listen, I'll tell you guys how I felt. As somebody I've been watching F1 practically all my life. I'm 40 years old next year. And I started watching in 93, 94. You guys can do the quick maths. When Karun Chandok said, if you don't like it, and I like it, Maggots and Beckett's is like, I've driven that track a gazillion times. I love Silverstone. Best track in the world for me from a driver perspective and probably from a viewing audience perspective. It's incredible, makes for brilliant racing, nice and wide, very sexy, accommodates the new wider, bigger cars. It's brilliant still, Silverstone. Best track in the world for me. I appreciate it. Karun's not talking to me yet, and still, as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, click off. Karun, if that's the way that you're talking to me, like nah. I'm paying customer. I'm taking time out of my day, not just to watch the free practice, the race, the quali, but then to go and watch the Sky F1. This is it's a labour of love, right? It's a full-time occupation to watch to consume all this content, and then go and do the due diligence and understand, do you know what I mean? Understand what the narrative, it's a full-time occupation. F1 fans are missing out on valuable time with their family and their loved ones and friends, right? To dial into this sport. And then this fellow has the bloody cheek to say, if you don't appreciate the sport the way I appreciate it because I'm an F1 driver, then what you want to do is go and watch another sport, mate. Honestly, since then, every time I've heard Chandok's voice, I'm just like, nah, I'm not feeling this. I'll be honest with you guys. it's techie. And that I say all that to say that Max Verstappen is nailing it. They are right. That stuff is worthy of appreciation. He's nailing it. Maybe he gets a record-breaking 10 this week. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe per my guy Baxty, the Monza curse strikes again. The Monza curse being that no driver for I don't know how long has won it consecutively. Not Gasly, not Ricciardo. Who's before then? Gasly, Ricciardo, Charles Leclerc. They've all failed to win Monza consecutively. I think that's a bit of irrational logic, but you know, maybe he does it. Maybe he does it. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And I kind of want him to do it. I feel like he has been incredible. He was ridiculous at the Dutch Grand Prix yet again last weekend. They have this thing, there's a margin of error, particularly in changeable conditions, and that margin reduces, right? It becomes more finite in changeable conditions because the risk becomes higher, right? You make a mistake in the barrier, more than likely you've finished your race. But somehow with Max Verstappen, particularly in changeable conditions, he seems to disadvantage the rest more than him. In changeable conditions, he seems like a shark just swimming in the ocean, right? It suits him more because of course his strength is he's being able to handle a car in those conditions. He drives off of feel. You guys have heard my guy Peter Windsor talking about his ability to shorten the corner and shorten the track overall. And I think that helps. The only way that you can do that sort of stuff is if your feel in the car for the handling dynamic, the oversteer, the ability to correct and oversteer last minute. The only way that you can do that stuff is if you feel is God tier, right? Not anyone, I can't jump in a car and do the stuff that Max Verstappen's doing. Not any, probably shy of Lewis and Fernando Alonso. I don't think any of those other 19 drivers can. It's a gift that this dude has, and absolutely it's worthy of mention. But the broadcasters and the guys in and around the sport, and even the FIA to a certain extent, they want to tell that bloody story. Don't tell us that that's what we should appreciate. Show us, tell us that story, for crying out loud. And moreover, in a way that people can appreciate, right? Rather than they get too techie and, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know. And I think to do that, they've got the tools. They've got the guys on the roster, the Nico Rosberg, he can do that. Ted Kravitz, but again, they push Ted to the back and only give him the notebook for whatever reason. I think they can do that. I think they can do that. And whilst they're not doing that, and we continue to have a monopoly around the top step of the podium, I think F1 is, sadly, as a person who loves the sport, who lives and dies with the sport, lives and breathes Formula One, sadly, I think we're in trouble, guys. I think we are in trouble. And I think, here's my, if I put on my accounting cap for a second, I think that's why we're seeing this needy push for, oh, you better keep watching. You got to appreciate this. I think that's what we're seeing because they're seeing what the North American viewing figures are doing and what their viewing figures are doing. Nobody's going to watch this. That's the truth. Nobody's going to watch this. And 2021 was a gift and a curse, and it was an anomalous circumstance, a once in a lifetime season, the likes of which we'll probably never see again. It had all of the ingredients. We've been through them ad infinitum. One driver was from Stevenage, the other one was from the Netherlands. You had a massively fractured fan base, both of whom were going at each other's necks. You had everything, both of whom, by the way, incredible once in a lifetime type drivers as far as their skill set. So to presume that you can easily replicate those circumstances probably falls gold, right? So what are you going to do instead? How are you going to plug that gap? And I think we are seeing that. Here's me again, accounting cap, massive conjecture and speculation. I think what we are seeing is a function of the international broadcaster and the FOM seeing these reduced figures year on year. They will start to see it. We've already seen it in H1 in North America. I think on average, in the first half of the season, viewing figures in North America are down, I want to say 400,000. Don't quote me on that. And if we're talking millions, that's a big percentage, right? If the absolute number was 1.3, 1.4 million, 400,000 as a percentage of 1.3, Mate, that's not a, do you know what I mean? That's like 5%, 6%, 7%. Quick maths. It's not a small number. And again, if I put my accounting app on, people are going to be having conversations about this. Hence why the likes of Pinks and the Sky Broadcasting guys are getting out in front of this now and trying to make sure you keep watching. But nevertheless, I think there's a better way to do it. I labour the point and I digress. CBD, what's going on? I promise I will get to all of your chats very soon, because this is a live chat session. And again, I'm a rusty guy. Forgive me, man. It's been a long time. I'm going to try and start doing these more regularly. But there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in the world of F1 and Cameron. We're trying to move, we're trying to do bits, but I must do better, and I concede that. Okay. That's the first thing out of the way. We've done Max Verstappen. We've done this appreciation push, which again, I just disagree. Let's talk about the Dutch Grand Prix for a second. And I know I'm 5 days removed now, and we will talk about Monza, a cheeky preview, although I don't think there's really not much to talk about there. Dutch Grand Prix was a bit techie, wasn't it? I don't want to do the Mercedes thing because, again, I've killed Mercedes already as far as my criticisms of them. But they don't, on a day where, okay, so yesterday Lewis has just signed, right? And I should be massively optimistic now as a Lewis fan and a Mercedes-Benz Petronas AMG. Mercedes-Benz AMG, but I can never forget the right way around, as a fan of them. But I'm not. Sadly, I'm not. I'm just not. I feel like I've been do more and say less, chaps. I don't. Okay, so Lewis has signed another 2 years and probably will sign another 2-year extension after that, because he's made it clear now that he's here to get the 8th. He wants to, as far as the record books, he wants to stand clear of Michael. And I don't hate that. How can you hate that on the back of Abu Dhabi? And we'll talk about that shortly, because I released a video, didn't I? You can't hate that. I can't hate that on Lewis. And I even think it's to be commendable. Lewis has driven really well this season, but I think what stands above everything else for me is the grace with which he's conducted himself. Listen, I try to stay as stoic as possible, right? But things, right, like, we're human, right? Fallacy is a true thing. We all have deficiencies. So for Lewis on the back of 2021 to I think 2021, like, okay, we'll part that for a second. But for him to have been promised, you saw all the talk that Toto put out there. Listen, everybody, we don't need any more motivation. Everybody has a target on their back after what happened in 2021. That's what Toto said. Not that I didn't say that. Lewis didn't say that. That's what Toto said. And since then, all we've seen is mistakes and bad cars, wheels that aren't commensurate with the level of ability that Lewis Hamilton has. That's all that we've seen hitherto since. And I don't think that's acceptable. Here's what I mean to say. If I were Lewis Hamilton, mate, I would be spitting fire each and every single time. You wouldn't get the PR stuff out of me. Yeah, come on, guys, let's keep pushing. We'll be here next, right? Mate, no chance. I would be spitting fire. Cameron, call me Max Verstappen. That's how I'd be reacting. I'd be doing the Max Verstappen thing. I'd be effing and blinding and cursing them. My patience, I think any ordinary human being's patience would have worn thin long by now. Would have been smashing them. Bono didn't even talk to me, mate. He didn't listen to me in the off season when I told you this zero pod thing isn't working. So I'm gonna get right. We're not friends, mate. Like, fix the car and then we'll talk after that. I know I hyperbole massively, but I'm saying how I would react. And it's a credit to Lewis Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, the sportsman that he is and the human being that this chap is, that he cracks on and that he conducts himself with grace. And for the most part, he's just encouraging to the team. I'm not sure any of those other drivers on that grid could act in that way and keep their patience and poise as long as Lewis Hamilton has, I would be honest. And that for me is worthy of mention, and it's worthy of praise. Lewis Hamilton he's a serious man still. He, as a man and a sports figure, there's nothing, I don't know, like, you can talk about his fashion or whatever, but I think that's misdirection. The dude he is, the man he is, by virtue of the way that he's conducted himself on the back of the promise that was the rematch 2022, not delivered, doesn't have the machinery, the team keeps making mistakes, nodding mistakes at that. I think Lewis Hamilton is worthy of praise. And the sport, by the way, is better off for having him in there for another 2. Listen, if I could have him in there for another 10 years, I would take it, because we want to see the best, drive the best cars and do battered against each other every single race weekend. And if he weren't there, then F1 would be poorer for that. Interesting, eh? War Lewis Hamilton, let's go, mate. Let's go. Let's hope next year. Nothing could make me happier, peddlers, than this time next year we've seen like 12 races where Lewis and Max are like going back like it's 2021 all over again. Both of them. In fact, forget that. I'll see that and I'll raise you this. Lewis, Max and Alonso, all in cars capable of winning 25 points on any given race weekend. How good would that be? How good would that be? No longer would we even be talking about the Sky broadcasting it. We wouldn't even care. That would just all fade to black, because we'd be getting what we signed up for post 2021, which leads me to my next thing. Look, I posted a video on the Mothership channel, Cameron F1, called Top 5 Reasons Why You Can't Blame Michael Masi for Abu Dhabi 21. Techie, of course it is. Look, if you put up a bog standard video with a bog standard title, this is YouTube. Nobody will click on it. Guarantee you. So was I a bit controversial in that? Of course I was. But I'll tell you the genesis story of that. Not that you guys are interested in this, but it's kicked up quite a storm. So I will explain it. There is a show. I've been a massive... I have begged, borrowed and stolen this idea. There's a program on ESPN hosted by one of my heroes, a legendary sportscaster called Brian Kenny on ESPN. Look it up. Exactly the same name. Top 5 Reasons You Can't XXX, where they did a diatribe, a forensic deep dive on controversial sporting instances. As an example, top 5 reasons you can't blame Mike Tyson for being beat by Buster Douglas. Huge upset. Nobody expected Buster Douglas to beat Mike Tyson. So let's have a look at it. Top 5 reasons you can't blame Mike Tyson for losing to Buster Douglas. I've watched those all my life, and I rewatch them. I think they're brilliant. Again, what we were just talking about, people aren't telling stories in F1. So I want to do that. I want to bring to my viewers and my subscribers the joy that I got out from watching these type of documentaries. Well produced, well thought out, a tad controversial, of course. Absolutely. But let me bring, if nobody else is doing that, I want to do that on the Mothership channel, Cameron F1. Hence why you see me try and relitigate for Michael Masi. And I didn't tell lies in there. I wasn't being deliberately controversial. We're going to talk Abu Dhabi for two seconds. Listen, here's my bit on Abu Dhabi 21, and then we'll move on. Michael Masi, of course, made a mistake. I was reading that Andrew Benson article yesterday talking about Lewis Hamilton's extension. And he nails it each and every start. Of course, Michael Masi made a mistake. There was a break from historic precedents. And it's hard. I don't want to talk about rules in F1 like they're black and white, because they're not always black and white. There will always be shades of grey, such is the nature of Formula One and racing. Did Michael Masi operate within the rules, the very vague and flaky and poorly written rules? Absolutely not. He operated outside of those and did something that had never ever been done in the way that he ordered the safety car to come in so quickly, and ordered 5 of 8 unlapped cars, or lapped cars even, to unlap them. That's rogue. We can all agree that's not up for debate, nor is it argument. That's rogue, and Michael Masi was held to account massively. Was he held to account too much though? Were there other ingredients in the Abu Dhabi cake? And I'm arguing in that video, absolutely. It's very lazy. It's very easy. I don't want to say lazy because that's condescending and doing a Sky Sports F1 thing. It's easy for me to sit up here and say Michael Masi was wholly to blame for the Abu Dhabi 21 fiasco. That's easy, and I'm cheesed off that Lewis lost and whatever, and so I'm gonna grab onto the first thing that I see, and I'm gonna that's accountable, and that's done. That's convenient. What's not convenient, what's harder to do and more interesting, my humble opinion, is to dissect the layers that is the Abu Dhabi onion. And it is layered. There is Michael Massey in there. There's a conversation that we'll have one day about stewards. If you try and get a hold of a steward that operated that Abu Dhabi race. If you talk to them, if you listen to, I've talked about this very briefly, but I don't want to, it's too techie for just a live chat. I feel like it's a separate video. If you talk to stewards that operated the Abu Dhabi race, remember, there was a distinct change in direction. Initially, Michael Massey wasn't going to allow cars to unlap themselves. That was the comms that all the teams got. And accordingly, and again, don't quote me on this, this is me speculating or listening to stewards that actually worked the course that day. The stewards were told to relax themselves, chill out with the clearing of Nicholas Latifi's car, because you have an easy out then, right? You have an easy out. If the car's not cleared, then the safety car has to stay out until lap 58 or whatever is the end of the race, and then done. Easy money. Nobody can talk to Michael Massey. North Americans are going to be cheesed off that it ended in a way that was anticlimactic. But you have an easy way out. If I'm Michael Massey, I do that, right? Michael Massey's not noddy. Why would he not give himself an easy way out? Stewards, listen, just relax yourself with the Nicholas Latifi clearing. Chill out, got a couple laps, just, you know what I mean? That way I'm absolved for all responsibility as a racing director, circumstance, act of God, whatever you want to call it, that forced our hand, and ultimately the race had to end in the way it ended. The stewards were told that. I'm telling you, you get hold of a steward, talk to the steward, and the steward would tell you that they were told to chill out, slow down with the clearing of Nicholas Latifi's car. And then you get the big U-turn. What do you think? Michael Massey just made that U-turn by himself, just of his own volition, to put himself in the bloody cauldron of hatred and death threats and everything what came thereafter. I mean, are we using our... We've... Michael Massey. Michael Massey only. And then you can talk about Baku and Brake Magic, some of the driving that Lewis did after again, it's tough to, I know it's difficult to, I'm not pointing the finger at Lewis. I'm just talking about this. I'm peeling back the multifaceted layers of the onion that is Abu Dhabi 2021. And it is multifaceted. Nobody's going to tell me that it's not. To say that it's, listen, you can have confirmation bias and availability heuristic if you want. Everybody does. These are cognitive biases and dissonances that everybody has, right? But if you're going to take a step back, take off your Lewis Hamilton cap and look at it objectively and analytically, as I have to bloody do as a noddy accountant every single month end and year end, if you're going to analyse the contributants, there we go, objectively, then there's got to be more than just Michael Massey. There was Brake Magic, that was 25 points. There was Brake Magic. There was others. Valtteri Bottas's piss poor showing. He was nowhere every single bloody time, particularly in Abu Dhabi. I don't know, there were other things that led to this mad controversial circumstance. It weren't just Michael Massey, because that happened last. I think that's overly simplistic. But I put out a video anyway, and that was met for the most part. You know what? Some people hated it. Oh, Cameron, you're a snake. What happened to your integrity, Cameron? Yada, yada, yada. But for the you're always going to get those. You're always going to get those F1 fans that react in a way that's emotional, right? And I'm not going to be the one, I'm not going to do the Sky Sports F1 thing and patronise anyone and say, well, listen, what do you need? Do you know what I mean? I don't want to do that. Everybody watches F1 in a different way. And Cameron F1, more than most, is conscious of that. I am. I don't want to be the gatekeeper in this. But I will say this, for the most part, I thought it was going to be met with more controversy, that top 5 reasons video. And I think it's a privilege. I come down hard on the community a lot of the time, but the Cameron F1 channel is to provoke discourse selfishly, because that's what I like. I enjoy the back and forth. I enjoy it when the likes of Shez and Baxty on the Shakedown tell me that I'm an idiot, because I am sometimes in it. You'll see when I publish this episode, those boys call me out because sometimes I get it wrong. I remember Shez in particular saying, Cameron, no, I disagree with that. And I enjoy that back and forth. And so I want to say I feel a privilege. It is a privilege to be part of a community, especially when we can have a conversation about such a techie topic as Abu Dhabi 21, sensibly and rationally, and disagree. And people are going to call my integrity into question, and Cameron F1's just doing it for the money, even though I've only got 14,000 subscribers. There's no, listen, there is next to no money at the moment being made off of the Cameron F1 channel. At some point in the future, hopefully that's different, and no longer do I need to be a noddy accountant and doing exactly what I'm doing now at month end for a big financial services company or corporation. Hopefully we get there at some point. But for now, Cameron F1 doesn't make any money. So what do we talk like? I don't know. There are a load of guys out there that presume they know the ins and outs and want to sit behind a keyboard and superimpose their confirmation bias on somebody. Well, just because you don't think the same as me, then you're a sellout or a snake or you lack integrity. And that's not the truth. I will have that discourse and rebuttal that every single day of the week. And that's what the channel is for. So I say all that to say this. I was surprised, not by the derision, but by the frequency, by the amount of healthy discourse that I was having in the chat. And that fills me with pride, right? You will always have dissenters and haters and people that view everything with this singular focus and it can only be this way and there's no other. That's cool. They're not my audience. They will have their audience and they can cater to them. That's cool. But it's a privilege. Give me getting emotional and choking up now. It's a privilege to be building and be part of a community where we can disagree in a way that's healthy and edifying and constructive. Hard disagree, by the way. On some of these things, this won't be the last. There will be more videos that are controversial, about which we will be diametrically opposed in terms of our opinions. There will be more, but you know what? It is what it is. It is what it is. And you grow more, in this game, I'll say you grow more calloused to the kind of like slanderousness, the stuff that has absolutely but people are talking about me like they've spent like 40 years of my life with me, right? Know who I am, what I've been through, the stuff that I do in the community or don't do in the community. People talk like that, like they're omniscient, like they're all knowing. And that in and of itself kind of undermines their point. Like, you know nothing, Jon Snow. You know nothing. But I digress. So it was a good Grand Prix. Dutch Grand Prix was sick. I'll tell you a quick story about the Dutch Grand Prix. I was due to my family stuff over the weekend, and I was in Birmingham on the Sunday. I was due to fly back up to Birmingham, drive back up to Birmingham right around the time when the Grand Prix started, and I needed to get back up here, son, wife, or like responsibilities. Grand Prix kicked off, and my plan was to watch the first 2-3 laps and then dip off, right? Catch the rest on radio as Baxty did. No chance. When I saw everything was kicking off, I was like, phew. So I watched it pretty much front to back because it's just too exciting. When F1's like that, no better sport in the world. And the Dutch Grand Prix delivered by virtue of changeable conditions, and Gasly was superb, Alonso was superb, Mercedes less so, but again, at this point, strategically, I don't know what we're going to expect. This is them, right? This is them. Okay, cool. Monza GP quickly. I've gone over, haven't I? 35 minutes. Classic Cameron yabbering on about nonsense and Abu Dhabi. Okay, let's go for another 20 minutes. 15, 20, whatever. I need to get for your comments. Monza Grand Prix. Here's what you need to look out for. If you remember last year, Red Bull rocked up. I want to say it was last year, either last year or the year before. Red Bull rocked up, if you remember, with a high downforce setup. Monza as a Grand Prix, Monza as a circuit is the lowest downforce circuit in the, like, it's bonkers. It's that, and it's Jeddah. I'm trying to think. It's the old bloody, if you guys are seriously old like me, it's like Phoenix in a, like these very low downforce tracks, right? That Red Bull rocked up last year or 2 years ago with a high downforce setup and still bludgeoned the field pretty much. is indicative for me of their aerodynamic efficiency. I'm guessing, probably should be able to get these images imminently. I'm guessing that Red Bull might do something similar. I think we may see them with a higher downforce setup than most of the other guys in the field, only because they're so aerodynamically efficient, triple DRS, all that other good stuff, which is counterintuitive still. It almost feels like two fingers up at the rest of the pack, because Monza isn't a high downforce setup. Your car has to be God tier for you to be able to pull up at a track with a big wing and still net, because the straights are super, super long. Right, okay, so you've got Lesmo 1, Lesmo 2, Parabolic, or the old Parabolica, don't know what it's called now, and the chicanes, turn 1, turn 2. But yeah, I think Red Bull will come with another high downforce setup. I don't think that they'll be desperate. You could see the way that they did the cheeky undercut with Max, okay, so at the Dutch Grand Prix, okay, so they said it was Alonso, and that drove their decision making. What they don't want to do is cheese off Max Verstappen, and they will be cheesing off Max Verstappen ridiculously, greatly, if they're responsible for sabotaging his record-breaking 10 in a row. They don't want to do that. They absolutely won't want to do that. And so, high downforce setup. Watch them come with a big ring. What a Mickey take from Red Bull. They are so far ahead of the pack that they can do these things. It's mind-boggling. And it deserves props. It does deserve props. But if you don't want to watch that, then who am I or anybody else to tell you that you're wrong? Because your interests, the reasons why you watch F1, because they're different to mine, that you're off-piste and out of pocket. Behave yourself. Right, Monza. High downforce setup from Red Bull, potentially. Keen to see what happens with Ferrari. It's a plot line that hasn't been discussed a lot, that Charles in particular keeps having problems, right? So at the Dutch Grand Prix, you'll see per break F1's ridiculous God tier level analysis. Buy him a coffee and get onto that if you like, getting a bit techie. He said at the end of FP2 that you can see from the telemetry that Ferrari are having massive difficulty on the turn into these corners with traction and skittish handling dynamic. Hence, you see what happened to Charles Leclerc, right? Like, he's struggling in particular. And I think Ferrari aren't, similar to Mercedes and Lewis, right? Ferrari aren't giving him the package that he needs that will facilitate him putting it on pole regularly and winning races. Williams, I think Williams could go well here. Got a very slippery car, right? Not much drag around these tracks like Monza. Spa, as an example, they tend to go well because they can maximise that maximal velocity, top speed on the straights. Alex Albon as well, right? Good Alex Albon. Yeah, I think he'll go well. I'm not even going to be on the prediction thing too much because I looked at the odds and the odds are redonkulous. From memory, 4-1 on Max Verstappen wins. That means bookmakers are saying if we run the race under the current circumstances 100 times, that Max Verstappen will win 80 or more of them. That's bonkers. That, friends, is bonkers. I don't think I've ever seen odds like that on F1 races. 4-1 on 80% of the time. That's ridiculous. I'll tell you that much. What else to look out for? Records. So there's a load of records that Max Verstappen could potentially break this season, being most wins, most points, and most wins. You've got to, again, if we're putting on our accounting analytics cap, you've got to rebase those for the fact that we've never seen more than 23 Grand Prix. We've never had a season with more than 23 Grand Prix, right? So, of course, in this day and age, you would expect him. You can't compare him to the likes of Senna and Prost when there was like 14 races a season, right? It doesn't make sense. But nevertheless, in absolute terms, Max Verstappen could potentially this season be on for most wins, most points, most consecutive wins, of course. And similarly with Red Bull, most points by constructors, potentially, unless Checo Perez chooses to sabotage that operation as he's capable of. Go on then, let's get to some of your chat. Thank you guys for bearing with me, man. I'm riffing back and forth. I hope you've enjoyed it. We will do more of these. Let me get to some of your chats. Mary, moderator extraordinaire. Opinion on the trophy says management MGT. You know what, MGT? I know a lot was made about the flippancy with which Red Bull broke trophies 2 consecutive times. Listen, they were accidents, right? I don't think they mean to break the trophies, particularly on the second occasion when the trophy was just sat there when they were celebrating and it fell over. Around the Monza trophy, I saw it. I wasn't massively impressed, I'll be honest. Trophy, right? I don't think the drivers even care for the trophy. Obviously, the ceremonial throwing the trophy up in the air on the podium and champers that means a bit, but I don't think they care, if I'm honest. Mary Driver's good. Baxty, is this the new mic? Right, I'm going back. In fact, you know what? Let me start from most recent. Nicky's done, I'm afraid. Oh my God, we're talking about young Nick De Vries, techie. I mean, he's not wrong to say that's Matt's fan. Go on then. I'm gonna skim back through some of your comments, guys, because this is supposed to be a live chat. But bear with me, I'm rusty. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Killian. You see a glimpse of how fast the RB19 is compared to everyone else's car. So this is the point, Killian. I don't think I've made the point a number of times on the shade. And I don't think we've seen the RB19 dialed up to 12. Not yet. They've not needed to. I mean, again, if a site break, there's another brilliant video where Break talks about Red Bull sandbagging around Spa and not necessarily sandbagging. I think they are. Look, okay, let's get into this. If you're an F1 team and you have an advantage, right? Why on earth? Listen, the Drivers' Championship is already wrapped up. So too with the constructors. Let's put ourselves in Red Bull's shoes. Why on earth? What is your incentive for dialing up these cars to 12 and gapping everybody, like maximising the gap between you and the rest? What, to put up the red flag and say, FIA, we're too dominant, chaps, like do something here, please. We need more technical directives to level. Why would they do that? It's nonsensical. Of course, with everything wrapped up, they're going to be dialing down the car to like, if 10's their upper limit, to as low. It's the old Fangio thing, right? They'll be trying to win these races with the minimum operational tax. They won't want to be taking a lot out of the engines or the cars even. They'll want to be chilling. Why would they? So yeah, I don't think we know truly how fast. I think we'll see it in quali sometimes, but I don't think we truly yet know how fast that RB19 is, being honest. Lolly, Baxty just reading now. Was it the teammate quote? I'm going in reverse order. That's not a good idea. Right, I'm going to get through your comments and then I will leave you guys to go and watch some pre-practice one because I think it's on at 1:30. British Standard type. This is the new mic management. Boom. Huge dub. I'm glad you like the new mic, Baxty. Let's go. Right. Baxty says, I approve of the technical directive. Shows the FIA getting serious about upholding the technical. You know what, Baxty? See, this is why Baxty B gets paid the big bucks. Infinitely more knowledgeable an F1 fan than I, and I agree with what Baxty said there. I want F1 to go back to why I love the sport and bring back V10s with biofuels. Seb Vettel done it. Oh, Mary, that's proper. Mary, I don't hate that at all. I don't hate what Sebastian Vettel is doing at all. He's blazing a trail. As to whether they do that, yeah, your guess is as good. It's the FIA, right? Your guess is as good as mine. Like, who knows? Probably not. Probably not, if I'm honest. Lolly, they win and DNF the next year. I think that's the... Oh, yeah, there you go, Lolly, exactly. Win and DNF per Danny Rick Charles. Danny Rick, Charles, Gasly. They've all won and DNF. Talking about Monza curse now. It's interesting. I don't put much weight in that, you know, Lolly. As a numbers guy myself, I'm not sure whether... I don't think that's... I wouldn't look... That doesn't... I wouldn't look on that. With Max Verstappen as a 80% favourite, if I have to put my mortgage on a driver, the Monza Grand Prix historical curse wouldn't deter me from putting all of my marbles, all of my chips on the Max Verstappen train. CBD says, Sir Lewis is with us for 2 more years, let's go. But F1 is dead if Max keeps running away. CBD, I feel like we've covered that, mate. I don't disagree with you, but I don't know, he's techie. The Straight King says, what do you think is a short-term solution for the boring season in the long term? Upcoming regs will help in 2026. Or Straight King, there's no silver bullet, man. I think we covered this in the shakedown will come out at some point this afternoon. And I think the FIA need to keep rolling the dice. They need to do something, but I don't think there is a no, as at now, as at the 1st of the 9th, 2023, I just don't think there's a known panacea. There's not a silver bullet that they can say, all right, we'll do this. It's not like party mode of Mercedes. That car, that RB19 is robust. It is strong in every area, aerodynamic efficiency, reliability, handling dynamic, turning, like it's got everything right. There's not one thing that you can just pull away that's going to suddenly make that RB19 much less competitive, sadly. So I don't know if that's answered your question, Straken, but there's no, I don't think there is an answer, not a known one. Not as at the 1st of the 9th, 23. Sean says, there is some dude who made a video slandering about your video. Oh, Sean, are we going to get into this? Sean, I think I've covered it already, mate. There will be those people that disagree with you massively, and they're entitled to their opinion. I can't do the gatekeeping thing. I can't disagree. I can't hate somebody for disagreeing with me, particularly around something so combustible as Abu Dhabi. They want to make a video. Listen, there are channels out there that only speak about Abu Dhabi so strong and passionately do they feel about this. I haven't watched the video. I don't have time. Like, there are people that have been making videos about me for time immemorial, and they can continue to. It's their prerogative, right? They can. I tell you what, I'll say this, Sean. If they wanted to come on a shakedown, I mean, them could debate like anyone. I'd happily debate them every single day of the week. So long as they were like respectful and said, well, that might be the issue, right? They'd come on and start saying effing and blinded and but anybody that did, I enjoy the back and forth and the disagreement, but respectfully, we'll do it on a shakedown every single week. Look at me coughing now. We do it on a shakedown each and every single week, Sean. We got to agree to disagree sometimes, and as grown-ups of rational mind, like that's what happens. I hope that answers your question, Sean. CBD, Mercedes were like Ferrari. Oh my gosh, that Mercedes are being compared to Ferrari. Tells you everything you need to know, eh? Lolly, I have FP1 and Brundle is back. Let's go! The broadcast isn't the broadcast without Mr. Martin Brundle. Sean, who is that? Mary, I will talk with you offline. Let's not give that any, we don't need to give that any shine, I promise you. It's not, the videos were good. I'd point you in their direction. Sting, their mistakes remind me of post-Schumacher Ferrari. Oh, don't say it so. Mercedes are now getting more frequently compared to Ferrari because there are parallels in the way that they're operating, right? Straight King. I watched that video, angrily clicked it based on the title, but loved the video in the end. Oh, Straight King. It's I think you're talking about my video there. It's a techie video. It's controversial and people are going to react to it in different ways. Derek and Gary Connolly were at AD21. Oh, Derek Warwick. We'll talk about that another day, Mary, I promise you. I've got a couple in the chamber for that subject topic, but probably too techie to nail in the next 5 to 10. Sling, that will be talked about to the end of the time. Absolutely, Mary. Baxty, it's an S-tier video. Baxty, it means a lot that you say that, brother. I'll tell you that much. There's a pic of Bonotto speaking with Fred. Lolly, you're right. Rakesh. Cameron, can't agree with you more. Sport needs more Lewis than vice versa. Gracie showed post 21. Absolutely. Repeat after me. Bring back nuanced discourse. Let's go, Baxty. That's exactly what we need. Gillian says, you see a glimpse of how quick, fast RB19 is compared to everybody else's car. Absolutely. Lolly, nah, don't put too much stock in curses either. No, me neither, Lolly. Cryptic says, Paddy Lowe said Mercedes sandbagged for years not to get slow. Why would they not? Cryptic, it just makes sense, right? Like, these guys aren't daft. They're not stupid. And I think that would be a stupid thing to do, to put all your cards on the table and say, here we are, here's how dominant we are. Fix this, FIA. because the FI will fix it. It is their responsibility to ensure that the racing and F1 as a series is competitive. Just the truth. Right, guys, I'm going to go and run and do some stuff. I've got a shakedown to edit, and that will be out at some point this afternoon. Am I going to do a quali watch-along? Watch-alongs, I'm going to try and bring watch-alongs back. This week has been a bit of a madness because family stuff has been going on. So potentially not this week. I'm tempted to do a quali. Anyway, I will let you know. Stay tuned into the community tab on this channel and the mothership channel, Cameron F1, and I'll signpost all the activity that's going on there. But between now and then, I hope you enjoy Monza Grand Prix as much as we all enjoyed the Dutch Grand Prix. Let's pray for changeable conditions again, but for those I don't think we'll get it. You guys have been legends. Thank you so much to moderator extraordinaire Mary, without whom this channel would not run as smoothly as it does. Salome, you're a legend. Salome, did I get to your question? Salome, I hope I answered your questions. I hope I answered all of your questions. We'll be back at some point. Tune in for the shakedown. Next couple of hours, I need to go and edit it. Between now and then, do me a favour. Look, but never stare. Love you all to the moon and back. Appreciate each and every single one of you for taking time out of your day to watch me ramble on about some F1. Love you guys to the moon and back. And I will see you all soon between now and then. Remember to look, but never stare. Peace.